Why is your Robotaxi going to be different?
Well, I guess it's the integration of, our leading EV technology, the luxury experience that the Lucid Gravity provides with the Nuro driver, and bringing this to market very, very, very fast. Because, from when we all came together, the three of us, to when we plan to roll it out by the end of the year in a paid service, actually, it's less than 18 months.
Yeah.
And if you do that in that short period of time, that's actually a very unique thing by itself. But the product itself, we are now unveiled the production intent design. It's much more integrated, less, a lot of different things on the edges of the vehicle, more integrated. And so it's going to be a very, very good experience for the customer.
Will it always take that form, the relationship of Nuro, Uber and yourself? Because we've just had Jensen unveiling his own self-driving platform.
Right.
Would that be integrated? Would you be an OEM that uses that more directly for the consumer?
In fact, we announced a couple of months ago a partnership with NVIDIA on exactly that topic. So we are also using NVIDIA Drive for our Gravity, but for our B2C customers. So the same thing that was basically announced yesterday with Mercedes, we will also have by the end of this year in our Lucid Gravity. And when we come with our mid-size platform, also end of this year, we'll have this from the start. But we don't stop there. We will actually, next step is L3, where you actually have mind off on the highway, and then is planned for 2028. And then L4, we're planning together with NVIDIA by 2029 for our B2C customers. So it's different. It's a different path than on Robotaxis. But we will also continue to evolve our Robotaxi ambitions.
Will the regulation be there by 2029? Is that what you're banking on?
But that's what we're banking on. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And more broadly, how do you see, therefore, the ecosystem evolving? What in 2029 will I own?
You mean a car?
There's Robotaxis that are already on offering. If I could choose between Waymo, I can use between Uber, I could get in your car in that respect. Yeah. Do I need to therefore really own my own Lucid car?
You will. I don't think that we get to a point where there will be only Robotaxis, because use cases, for instance, in inner cities, or short runs make sense with Robotaxis, but you also want to be able to make it your own vehicle. You don't want to go into something where somebody else was just sitting in. Or let's say if you have a family, you have more than one kid, you need a child seat. You want to lock this around and put it into a Robotaxi and then take it out again? It's not feasible. It's not feasible. But anyway, there will always be both. Yeah. But I think what is very, very important is not only on the Robotaxi side, but also on the retail customer side, you want to choose. Do I want to be driven, or do I want to drive myself? In particular, our cars are known how great they drive. And that's a very important thing, because EVs very often are kind of like stigmatized with, oh, that's the sustainable choice and it's expensive and it all needs incentives. That is not true. Our cars, for instance, they drive fantastic. They actually have better performance than internal combustion engines if you compare them in their real competitive set. So I think this will go away over time, that you have the conversation between internal combustion engines and EVs will win in the end.
Well, let's talk about where Lucid is at this moment, because last year it was a painful year in terms of stock performance.
Yes.
You were having to downgrade how many cars you were going to be able to produce, but then suddenly you ramped at the end of the year. You've delivered significant production in Q4. How does that scale?
Yeah, so I have to say I'm very proud of what the team pulled off. We had, and I was very vocal about this, we had issues with ramping up our Gravity, our first SUV.
And that was supply chain,
It was supply chain, several supply chain issues. Whole 2025 was full of surprises. Let's put it that way. Not only for us, also for the whole industry. But then we still delivered in Q4 our 8th consecutive record quarter on deliveries as well. That means the last 2 years, every single quarter, we increased our deliveries. And when it comes to production, we increased the production for the whole year by more than 100%. And just in the last quarter, from Q3 to Q4, even that by more than 100%. So we're really now ramping up, and we solved the supply chain issues.
Completely. So 2026 will not be a supply chain headache issue?
Not that what I know of. I mean, last year, if you would have asked me the same question in January, I would have said the same thing. And then a couple of things happened. Yeah.
What happened was a trade war and tariffs.
Right.
How have you changed your supply chain with Asia in particular?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is still a process, because you cannot do this from one day to the other. If you have, we're building, actually, by the way, all of our vehicles right now are built in the United States. But still, we have components coming from other parts of the world. And we are in process to localize this in order to not have to pay the tariffs. As an example, one very big element of our bill of material is the batteries. And right now they come either from Korea or a bigger chunk actually from Japan. And we will localize this to the United States mid of this year. So that will actually help already quite a bit. But there's still more work to do. So we're making those decisions as we go in order to bring more things stateside in order to save them.
Where is Lucid's space in terms of global market share? We've just heard that BYD has become the #1 EV producer in the world, eclipsing Tesla. Tesla still has a significant chunk of share.
Yeah.
We've seen Xiaomi grow in China as well. Where do you fit?
Well, here's the thing. When these days, when people talk about EVs, they mix everybody up, meaning BYD, Tesla, and Xiaomi, or anything else, and
hybrids,
us, and us. We are a luxury manufacturer right now. We're not playing the same price point as right now. We don't have yet, we will, but we don't have yet the $50,000 or even less offer we want to, yes, that Tesla has. The Chinese are actually further down. When you look in the Chinese market, I mean, you cannot make money there. And we have, by the way, no plans to go to China, because I don't think there's any way to make a profit there for a Western OEM coming in. But we think in our luxury space, what we offer, luxury, and I would also say premium, because we will go down to the premium sector around about $50,000. That's what we will do. Yes, absolutely. But we have no plans to go down to, I don't know, $30,000, $20,000. And that's where the bulk of the sales of the Chinese are right now. When you look at the level higher, then it's not that great.